Okay, so here we go. So here's Pong.
Okay.
And you can see here, I
can
control
my
this.
God.
Yeah, exactly.
This is deranged. It literally wrote the code and made the game Pong from a drawing.
Yeah, and then you can create a link.
Oh my God, this is insane. Do you know how long it took Nolan Bushnell in 1973 to build the first Pong? I just looked it up. No. There's a Wired story. It took 3 months for them to build Pong. You did it in 3 minutes.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty wild.
This Week in Startups is brought to you by Squarespace. Turn your idea into a new website. Go to squarespace.com/twist for a free trial. When you're ready to launch, use offer code TWIST to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Vanta. Compliance and security shouldn't be a deal breaker for startups to win new business. Vanta makes it easy for companies to get a SOC 2 report fast. Twist listeners can get $1,000 off for a limited time at vanta.com/twist. And Northwest Registered Agent. When starting your business, it's important to use a service that will actually help you. Northwest Registered Agent is that service. They'll form your company fast, give you the documents you need to open a business bank account, and even provide you with mail scanning and a business address to keep your personal privacy intact. Visit northwestregisteredagent.com/twist to get a 60% discount on your next LLC.
All right, everybody, welcome back to This Week in Startups. It's Madra Mondays. Yes, every Monday, my good friend Sandeep Madra comes on the program. He's from Definitive Intelligence. And he's one of my besties. And we like to do demos of AI projects. So it's just AI Mondays here on This Week in Startups. Every Monday, make sure you see the show because, hey, we got our finger on the pulse of what's happening. I see a lot of stuff coming in to my inbox, DMs. People now know that if you did something interesting in AI in the past week, that you just CC at Sandeep and at Jason, First Name Club on Twitter, X, and you let us know what you're building or slide into either of our DMs or both and send us a link, and then maybe we'll talk about it on the show. Let's get right to it.
All right.
I noticed that Bard, remember we talked about, hey, they got to catch up and they got to hold people's feet to the fire.
Yeah.
And I tweeted last week that Bard and YouTube are now connected in some way. So let's look at this. This is really interesting. I've said this from the beginning. Yeah. I think YouTube, Reddit, Quora, and Twitter/X are some of the greatest, pools of data, right?
They are. And so what we're going to do here in Bard now, and I have some pre-done in case we don't want to wait, but we are going to ask Bard, can you provide a summary of the last This Week in Startups episode?
Okay. This is a very specific search being done at bard.google.com.
Yes.
And we'll see. Oh, look. And it shows a spinning wheel that it went on YouTube. And here we go. Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
and then, which is great. It gave me a quick summary, but I can say, what were the key points made by Jason?
Oh, well, that's even more detailed. So just to summarize what it showed us in the last screen, it gave us, let's look at the first response if we can.
Okay.
From, because we kind of glossed over it. I want to give him credit.
Yep.
So what we see here, as it says, the most recent episode of This Week in Startups is titled OpenAI Chaos Continues. It was published on November 21st, 2023. I don't know if that's actually the latest episode, is it? Here is a summary of the episode. 5 bullet points. Sam Altman was fired from OpenAI. The OpenAI board is considering spinning out a new company to focus on generative AI, yada, yada, yada. I hope the summary is helpful, and here's a link.
1852.
Okay, 1852.
And that's the one when David joined us.
Okay, great. Yes, that was the latest, was November 21st.
Yeah, so it's right. Look at that.
Perfect. Great job.
Okay. And then we did a follow-up.
What was Jason's position. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And it picked up on something you said, which was very good, I thought. And I remember this from the episode. He said recent turmoil is unprecedented.
I just said that.
And this one was, I remember this very clearly. He said the OpenAI board made several mistakes, including not giving Sam Altman clear incentives and not having a clear succession plan in place.
Sure. I did say that. I don't know if I mentioned succession, but I definitely mentioned the incentives. So I wonder if it's hallucinating about the succession, or maybe Sachs brought that in. He said the fallout from OpenAI situation could be significant for startups that rely on OpenAI's models. I might have said that. Calacanis also said that he believes OpenAI is still a valuable company and that he is hopeful it can recover from the crisis. Overall, Calacanis' key points with that OpenAI situation is unprecedented, that OpenAI board makes several mistakes, and that the fallout from OpenAI. Okay, I think it's pretty good, actually. And this would save you a lot of time. One of the things we do here, like as an example, I'm having Kevin O'Connor, the founder of DoubleClick, on the program. What I asked my team to do was to give me some bullet points from the last time he was on the show. Now I'm going to listen to the episode, but I like to have the bullet points there for me. Usually a producer, Sandeep, would listen to the episode, write the bullet points. I listen to it on 2x speed. So this would take him an hour, right? Maybe 2, if they're doing other things. So, that's going to cost me whatever. If you call it $100 in producer time or whatever it is, if an average producer is $50K all in, fully baked with their vacation and everything, or if a producer, general or a researcher generally in the world might cost, if you're going to hire a freelance researcher, I think to do this work, what would it be? $40 an hour? I think $40 an hour you could hire a researcher work from home.
You need someone, you can't just get the cheapest person, right?
You can't do somebody offshore because they may not understand the context of all this. Yeah. So, a US based or North American based person who understands tech would be $40 an hour to do this. And this does it basically for free. So if you're a researcher and that's your gig in the world, there's 2 things that are possible here. You could just go do this and claim, you could go use Bard, claim you did the work and charge $40 for 5 minutes of work. Or you can then take this work and then do more meaningful work, which is take this and then come up with follow-up questions for the person, right? And so this is my general theme. I'm working on a blog post. I am so inspired by our discussions here, Sandeep, that I'm going to break some news here. I have a new blog post coming. I'm going back. I have a calacanis.substack.com. I'm going back to blogging and writing. Okay. Just for clarity of thought.
And is it AI enhanced?
It is not. But they're going to be short and brief. And I may, I like to have my voice, but I do use Grammarly, which is an AI machine learning to, make things clearer. And I set it to make things very clear. So, shout out to our friends at Grammarly. I love that product.
Great.
I have a new framework. I call it's a new management framework. My old one of like the SOD and the EOD, start of day, end of day for managing real people. I just ask everybody on the team for 5 minutes. Most people do it. If they don't do it, I generally fire them. After some period of time, I don't keep asking them. I just cut them loose. But I ask everybody to do a start of week, end of week. That should take 15 minutes. At the start of the week, 15 minutes at the end of the week. And then your SOD, EOD should take, start of day, end of day, should take but 5 minutes. Just 3 or 4 bullet points of what you're going to do today and at the end of the day. Some people go crazy. They want to get credit for all their work. They're ambitious. They want to show the team that they're really crushing it. And I totally respect that. If it was a young JCal, I would do that. Yeah. So young Sandeep would do that too, right? You want credit for work done. What this does is it creates the ability for you as a young person in the company or a new person to see what everybody's doing and then say, wait a second, that person's more senior than me. I need to be doing some of their stuff, right? Yeah. Or I know. And then if senior people don't do it, I had 2 people who were like managing directors who refused to do it and they're no longer with me. I'm just not going to push people to do it. I just want people to do it because it holds you accountable. And then I realized from our discussions here, my ADD framework. People tell me I have ADD, ADHD. I don't know, maybe. We didn't diagnose it when I was a kid. You get diagnosed with that, by the way? We didn't have
it back then. No, that's well beyond us. Yeah, that was like a 90s phenomenon, right?
It's a millennial thing, yeah. So anyway, automate, delegate, deprecate. I'm now telling people, and I'm going to put this out on my Substack.
I love it.
And I'm going to post the whole thing.
But for the modern era. Yeah.
For the modern era. You look at your end of week. So I took somebody who's going to be on leave, and I just looked at their EOW for the last 4 weeks. And I said, of the items that they got done each week, what could be automated with GPTs, with AI? What could be delegated to a remote worker? So I am getting obsessed with remote workers in Manila, Portugal, South America. Yeah. It's $1,000 a month, basically, for a remote, college-educated, perfect English.
There's a bunch of services that
Magic
do this,
does it. Athena does it. There's a bunch of very cool services that I've been testing. And then you can also just go on Fiverr or other websites and find the Upwork, the really great websites. You find the folks, they cost literally $5, $6 an hour. $3 or $4 an hour is a great salary if you charge $5, $6, $7 an hour. So I'm pairing my people with admins from offshore. So every 3 people will have 1 admin, I think. So that's about $12,000 to $36,000, depending on which service you use. 12 to 36. Now, if you put 3 people's salary together all in, it'd be like $300,000. If you put a $25,000, let's round it up to 30, like a really high-end offshore person, that's 10% more. But how much could they delegate to that person? I wonder. So that's the experiment I'm running. And then Deprecate is, you know, when you ask somebody to do something like 2 years ago and they're still doing it, but you didn't know they were doing it. And you're like, oh my God, stop doing that. It's a waste of time. We don't need that anymore. And so I'm just asking everybody to have ADD. Automate, delegate, deprecate.
Love
and
it.
if you do that, I think everybody in the company can become 50% more efficient, which is to say they can automate maybe 10, 20% of what they do. They can delegate maybe 20, 30% of what they do, and they can deprecate 10 or 20% of what they do. Put it all together, half the work comes off your plate. What does that do? It means you don't have to hire another person, or that person can do higher level things. So I just want to encourage people, as you see this incredible YouTube experiment, if you were a producer of a podcast, or you did summaries of podcasts or other, you know, news stuff, start with Bard now that it works. Check the facts, pull up the transcript, summarize the transcript, take the entire transcript, put the transcript in Claude, put the transcript in Bard, put it into ChatGPT, and look at all 3 simultaneously. And then say to yourself, what could you do beyond this? So anyway, this is just my, you know, new framework based on what we are figuring out here every Monday.
I think it's a framework for the AI era. We should, that's what it's really, because, you know, the automate, delegate, and deprecate is very much aligned to the AI era.
Yes.
Because before, automating would require someone to, you know, maybe write code, and getting resources across the world was harder. So all these things are being enhanced by AI. And I can guarantee, Jason, that most people on those offshore services are going to be better at using AI than
they already
folks.
They already are. I've been talking to the people who are running some of these services. They are using AI already. They are using script. They've been using scripting forever. So of course, as an example, we have an SDR that we're going to test, a sales development rep. The sales development rep, one of the things they did was they built scripts. What do these scripts do? They go onto professional networking sites like LinkedIn, Crunchbase, PitchBook, whatever it is. And there are tons of these different sites out there. And then they look for targets for the salespeople. And they've just automated qualifying them and then even queuing up an email to them, or queuing up, finding their email and then queuing up an email to them or an in-mail, etc. So imagine you're a sales executive, you're selling SaaS software. This SDR could go into your LinkedIn, your Crunchbase, put into your drafts folder 20 emails for you to look at with those folks, follow them automatically on LinkedIn for you, maybe like a couple of posts. This is called social selling. Well, that's all going to start to be done by, I think, AI in some ways, or offshore. And that combination is going to be wicked. And then if you watch the person working, so we've had people on the pod who are building software to watch the desktop, right? And Microsoft's watching the desktop with their new Copilot, right? If they're watching the desktop and they see an SDR or somebody who's, let's say, booking meetings, and they watch them do it enough times, the AI just watching your desktop and watching what's happening in your browser or in a headless browser, it's going to figure out what to do and then just go do it for you. If your landing page looks terrible, I'm out. We all know that. You see an ugly website, you skedaddle, you leave, you're done. So you need to stop settling for okay or good and start using Squarespace so you can be excellent and extraordinary. It's an out-of-the-box business solution to build beautiful websites, engage your audience, and sell anything you want. You know Squarespace's amazing features, gorgeous templates that are always optimized for mobile, drag and drop web design with their fluid engine, advanced analytics, marketing analysis, sales data, and more. And with Squarespace, You can create an online store or start a blog at the click of a button, create a subscription business for members-only content, and so much more. And you can do this all simultaneously. It's the simplest, most effective, and best-looking way to start a business online. So here's your call to action, squarespace.com/twist for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/twist for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
One of the OpenAI engineers yesterday wrote like a little Gmail thing using OpenAI to go through all the Black Friday emails. Cause obviously, it's been crazy the last day or two, right? Or 3-4 days.
I did a little shopping online, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm saying,
did you do any Black Friday deals?
No, not really. I mean, it's like,
I just had one. I had like a brand I really like. This brand, Rhone, RHONE. Rhone.
Yeah.
I like Rhone and I like cuts.
Like athleisure.
Yeah, but it's athleisure, but they got into sweaters and some polos and nice stuff. So I like cuts. I like Rhone.
Okay. Yeah.
I like Mack Weldon, some of them. And I just saw the Rhone go by and I had bought some stuff I really liked. Like they have this nice collared shirt that I like.
Yeah.
I just bought 2 more. They were 30 or 40% off.
They have a store in Hudson Yards, by the way. If you ever want to
they do.
visit there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting how all those direct-to-consumer brands were supposed to get rid of stores, and then they were like, you know what would be cool if people could go into a store and try this stuff? But I guess they just look at it as marketing, right? I think if they break even on the store, but they got people to know the brand and they know they're going to go order online, it's kind of brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, next time you're there, check it out.
I give this, I'm going to tell you right now.
I got to show you one more thing. We kind of got a little bit
I had a question. Can you do the comments? Can you ask it to, does it have insight into comments?
Let's do that. But I want to show up what I had made a prediction on the Monday pod that everything would get back to normal. And this is a heavy hallucination. First of all, it thinks I'm the CEO of the Madra Venture Group, which I am not. And
it's is it saying you're part of, is Madrone Venture Group like an Indian group? Is this like
isn't Madrona
what is Madrona?
These are the Seattle guys that like aren't they?
I wonder if there's, I was just wondering if it was like being a little racist and it's like, oh, well, you're Indian, you must be part of the Madrona Venture Group or something.
Yeah. Who knows? And then my prediction was that everything will return back to normal in that episode. And so it didn't get that right. So going back to, our previous conversation.
Okay.
I think it's cool that it's making some things available, but then it is.
Why is it getting it wrong? It's got the transcript.
I know.
Google has the actual transcript. It should not get this wrong. ChatGPT would not have gotten this wrong, I don't think.
Okay. What are
what are the most popular
comments
on that video?
On this episode. Okay.
So great, yeah. Let's see if it gets this.
Yeah, I spelled episode wrong too, but
doesn't matter. It should know.
Yeah, it should figure that out. So let's see.
So it's searching YouTube. It's giving like a spinning wheel that it's searching YouTube. See, this is the thing. If the structured data can be organized, here are some of the most popular comments. I can't believe the board fired Sam. He is a visionary. I'm hopeful that the EMT shear will be able to bring some stability. Emmett shear, I guess. The whole situation is a mess. I wonder if these are actually really the comments.
Yeah.
Hope the drama doesn't know. Okay. Well, at least it thinks it's getting the comments, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll have the producers go check if those comments were there. Ask it how many likes did the episode get? Or how many views does the episode have?
Yeah.
How many views does this episode have? I think the Sachs was on, so it makes it pretty popular. Let's see. 80,000 views. Okay.
And I think I had it here. It says 80K here.
Okay, great. So that's pretty interesting. Can you ask it another question here? I want to ask Bard, with its integration with YouTube, somebody can clip this and send it to the team over there. Ask it, what are the top 5 most popular videos on YouTube this month? Now, this is like a meta question, right? It needs to understand that YouTube is a website with videos and that there's a popular list somewhere. And let's see if it can actually... okay. Mr. Beast
being the one
Stokes
makes sense,
Twins.
probably. Yeah. Mark Robert gets a lot of views.
Huh. The Good Wrench.
And they range from 2.2 to 23 million.
Okay. I think this could be a game changer, folks. We could have a game changer. How about we do this? Who is the most popular chef on YouTube? Let's see. This is like something that you actually might get value from, is actually trying to figure out, instead of typing chefs. Okay. Yeah. It's giving you
10.6 million subs.
I mean,
this one has 21 million subs, but it's really okay.
And it's giving a little picture. Jamie Oliver has 5.8 million subs. So it's not ranking them by subs, but it's giving you a pretty good overview here. Let's ask, what's the most popular French omelet recipe video on YouTube? This is interesting. See, like this, maybe they should just replace the YouTube search button. Like YouTube search doesn't do this. The most popular French video on YouTube is how to make perfect by Jacques Pepin. That is actually the one I've watched.
Wow.
That is correct. It is a great video. You ever have a French omelet? You know the difference between a country omelet and a French?
I know the French is like this slow stirring, right? It's like a test for chefs, isn't it? Like
it is the test for chefs. If you want to test a chef, you have to make a French omelet. It's very simple. You put the omelet in the pan with butter, but you don't brown it on the outside. It is like a nice glossed color. You can put chives inside of it if you like. That's what you see here with the green one. And then you have to keep taking it off the heat so it doesn't burn. And then you roll it into a little cylinder. And it looks like a manigot or like a cannoli or something. It's rolled. When you cut it open, it's moist on the inside, firm on the outside, but not burnt. A brown butter country omelet is when you mix it and it's almost like scrambled and it's hard. Then you get in a typical diner. Yeah. And it's really brown on the outside.
Hotel
it's
breakfast
overcooked.
buffet.
It's kind of gnarly. So the reason I know this is because I love a French omelet, and we have a housekeeper, and I taught the housekeeper how to make French omelet just by sharing that video. And I was just curious if they actually could go dig that deep. I'm going to go ahead and give this an A. I don't know what it was last time, but this is like, I gave it like 5 or 6 things that I wanted. It gave me back a semblance of what I want. Yeah. And this is 10 times better than YouTube search. So for me, it's either like B plus, A minus, or A. But compared to previous versions, I don't know what we gave it in previous versions or if we're giving letter grades on previous episodes. This is really showing what YouTube is going to be able. This is the first time I feel like maybe there's a J trade coming in for YouTube shares.
Well, private Google data shares. And good experience. Like I'm at A minus only because it hallucinated pretty heavy in this one of the summarizations. Yeah. But I think it answered everything. It pulled up videos. You tested it in quite a few different ways, and it did a great job. And I think, for me, what's interesting is there's all these tools that we've been using to summarize videos, and now just do it in Bard. You don't have to pay for another tool. You can do it right here. And I think as long as they can start to prove the accuracy, I like the comment search too. That's a good one because sometimes that can help you figure out like maybe what you should listen for or look for in it. And the only thing I would say, if I could ask for a feature, if they're doing this now, maybe it can even create a summary for you.
Yes.
So if it's like one of these long Lex Friedman ones or,
I think it will do that and it will start to do that automatically or automatically does already. Like I think timestamps pretty easy. Let's ask it one more question. I want to ask it a question that would be deep inside a video. And this is going to be a little bit of a deep pull here, but everybody knows I love the band Dire Straits. Have any of the members of Dire Straits talked about doing a reunion tour in a YouTube video? Please jump to that timestamp. Or please give me that timestamp.
If so, please give me a link to that. Okay, so how about that? That's what you really want to do.
Yeah, sure. You want the link to it? I mean, I would like to go deep. Okay, yes. Mark Knopfler has talked about doing a reunion tour in a YouTube video. The 1980 Rolling Stone, he said he would be open to the idea of a reunion of the band, but that would be a lot of work to put together. He also said he would only want to do it if the original members of the band were on board. Mark talked about the possible reunion tour in other interviews. An interview with Mojo, he said he would never say never tour, but he didn't think it was very likely to happen. I don't think this is true. I don't think this is true because Mark Knopfler has just said he would only do it for charity. The Guardian never said he was more open to the idea of doing a tour that had to pass and taking to others members about it. So see, I don't think this is actually true. He said it's just like that era is over. Former Dire Straits. Let me see that. Can you probably link to the video? Former Dire Straits, we'd love to reunion, but Mark Knopfler is busy. That's the truth. Dire Straits leaves Dire Straits. For the record, by Mark Knopfler, Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler is in Spanish City. These are all great videos I've seen of Mark talking about it, but the truth is, he has said they're not going to do a reunion tour. So this is pure hallucination. And it gave wrong information. This gives you the idea that it was going to happen, and it is not. So it's definitely hallucinating. It's giving you general information about other bands probably talking about a reunion.
Yeah. Well, here it was very specific, right? He has talked about it, and he said he'd be open to doing it, but it'd be a lot of work. So I wonder if
that's
he
not
said
true.
that.
And by the way, producer John was looking for the comments that it said it was going to have, and those were hallucinations. Couldn't find those comments there.
Really?
So it's making that up. So I'm going to a B+ right now. I'm dropping my score. It went from an real time from an A to a B+. I like the fact that it knows what it's doing, but the hallucinations are far too wrong here to make this valuable. Actually, I'm going to a B. I'm giving it a B.
Yeah. Well, since the comments were fake and then the Dire Straits thing, I think definitely it goes down to a B because, that can give you, imagine you're supposed to watch something, for something important, and you go get one of these summaries and it's just told you a bunch of things that weren't true. So that's pretty unreliable. We've got to be careful.
Yep.
Careful out there,
sounds
kids.
Good. Yeah, be careful out there. Do not trust any language models right now. Trust but verify is the rule. They hallucinate. They're still hallucinating. We're just too trusting of technology. I think, isn't that what this says? The fact that we get so excited and then when we check the facts, we get so disappointed is that we actually believe in this technology a little too much?
Well, I think it stems from the fact that we trust technology, Jason, right? We trust calculators. We trust, spell checkers. We trust Grammarly, right? And we trust Google search. And I think the challenge with the technology, and a lot of people are working on this right now, is to eliminate the hallucinations because that's going to take away from the trust that we have of technology. And so
these hallucinations are happening. Why? If you were to explain it to a neophyte, explain it to
because these models are inherently probabilistic. And what they don't, you don't have a model that has every single thing that is on the internet. Otherwise, the model would be like too gigantic in size to run. So what it has to do, it has to, effectively compress down the internet, by a, process of training. And when that's happening, it loses information. And so when it's trying to recreate things, it tends to make things up. Where these models are starting to drift is they've been further, I guess, reinforcement learned to always give humans answers. So one of the things that they've learned is humans don't like it when it says, I don't know. And that was the beauty of Google search. It never said, I don't know. It would just kind of give you a list of links and you would look at whether those were good or not. And so I like, that's the reason is that you can't take the entire internet and put it into a model. The hardware underneath it's not able to do that yet today. And so,
good explanation.
And so everything is compressed, and in compression, there's loss.
There you go, folks. Listen, selling software is hard enough right now, man. It's hand-to-hand combat out there in B2B land. The last thing you need to do is slow your sales team down because you don't have your SOC 2 dialed in. So if you're SaaS or a services company and you store consumer data in the cloud, you know what you need to do? You need to check out Vanta. They're going to get your SOC 2 compliant easier and faster. And Vanta makes it so easy to get and renew your SOC 2. On average, Vanta customers are SOC 2 compliant in just 2 to 4 weeks. Compare that to 3 to 5 months without Vanta. They're going to save you hundreds of hours of work and up to 85% on compliance costs. And Vanta does more than just SOC 2. They also automate up to 90% compliance for GDPR, HIPAA, and more. You can't afford to lose out on those major customers, the lighthouse customers, the big fish, the whales, because of silly stuff like lacking compliance. Just work with Vanta. I'm an investor in the company. It's a great company. Get your compliance automated, get it tight, tight is right, and close those big deals. Here's the best part. Vanta's going to give you $1,000 off because they love This Week in Startups. They love startups. Vanta.com/twist. That's Vanta.com/twist to get $1,000 off your SOC 2. We spent a lot of time on that one, but for good reason, because YouTube is I think YouTube is the best data pool out there. Overall, I think Twitter's, I'd say X is good for real time, but YouTube has all these deep interviews. And I think that's why they want,
of course.
By the way, that's why they're making a big push for podcasts, a big push for podcasts. Yeah. And this is why Spotify could have something really interesting at some point.
Yeah.
Or anybody. Podcasts are freely available to index when you think about it. Now, I think you probably need permission if you're going to build they're all on RSS feeds. So you could just look for RSS feeds with attachments and just start indexing. But I don't think you have the rights to do that. Now, will a podcaster care? Will I care for This Week in Startups to be in somebody's model? I have to think about it. If I if I got credit and links back, I'd feel pretty good about it because I would get traffic back. So this is like
the Google model. So we got to figure that out.
We got to figure that out. Yeah.
Okay. All right. This one was making big rounds last week, and we had it queued up, but we did the podcast on the OpenAI stuff. So this one I find really fascinating. It's called tlDraw. And what I did here, because I didn't want to do it real time, I kind of queued it up. I drew this. I saw someone else do it, so I thought this was a good example. So I made up a game. It's a famous game, J. Cal's first video game, Pong.
Pong.
Yeah. And this is very monumental, right? To think about what's going to happen here, because this was one of the first video games ever created for Atari, I believe. And so what I said is like this, here's a paddle. It's controlled by the Q and Z keys. Here's
and this is just
paddle.
A line drawing you made on your computer.
No. Like I drew it in this app down here.
You drew it in this app. You made a square.
Yeah. I made
you made two rectangles for the paddles. You made a ball. Yeah. I get it.
And then I told it the rules, and I said the scores here. And then all I have to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to highlight all these things that I did, and I'm going to hit this button that says make real. And this is going to spin for this is going to spin for about, maybe 30 seconds. And, think about the work that went into building the first Pong and what we're going to have here. And what this is going to do is, we've talked about like low code and no code environments. This is the evolution of that. Okay, so here we go. So here's Pong.
Okay.
And you can see here, I
can
control this.
God.
Yeah, exactly.
This is deranged. It literally wrote the code and made the game Pong from a drawing.
Yeah, and then you can create a link.
God, this is insane. Do you know how long it took Nolan Bushnell in 1973 to build the first Pong? I just looked it up. No. There's a Wired story. It took 3 months for them to build Pong. You did it in 3 minutes.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty wild.
That is mind blowing.
Yeah. This one, for some reason, is missing one of the lines. But when I did this earlier, it had both paddles. Maybe I got to run it again or something. But
I mean, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can see here, I'm controlling and it's keeping score as well, right? So, wild, huh?
I mean, when we start thinking about this, all you have to do is, extrapolate from here, because that's how technology works. So Pong was one of the original games. Then you get Breakout, then you get Defender, you get Asteroids.
Yeah.
And then you could say, to the game, make a more interesting version, or make a version that works in VR, or make a version that works with Apple's headset and uses some IP from Disney. You're going to be able to just talk to this.
Yeah.
So you do a drawing, a sketch, it makes a computer program, and then you just talk to it back and forth. And I was in the car this weekend driving, to Lake Tahoe with my 13-year-old, and I set up there's an action button. Do you know the iPhone 15 has an action button?
Yep, exactly.
I program my action button. What do you think I program my action button to do?
ChatGPT.
You got it. So when I double click when I hold my shortcut, it opens up the ChatGPT voice mode. So now I'm driving, not looking at it, got it in the phone stand in the cradle, and I asked it about the conflict between, I asked it about Hamas, the organization. She had questions about that. I asked it about the Middle East conflict. I asked it about the solutions, and it just talked to us while we were driving. And then I asked it about The Cure, because she wanted to know about Boys Don't Cry and their greatest hits. And then she said, well, what genre is The Cure? And I said, well, I think it's new wave. And then I asked it, and it was like, they were post-punk. And then as they evolved, they became new wave. So I was right, but I didn't think they were post-punk so much. But then that kind of made sense to me.
Yeah.
And it gave a pretty great answer. And I was just thinking, this is like having a tutor, not just for my daughter, but for me too.
Yep.
Because I'm guessing, okay, what genre is The Cure? I kind of think it's rock and roll, kind of new wavy.
Yep.
Kind of punk I didn't think of, but now that I think about it, it was a little bit post-punk, wasn't it? And so anyway, you think about what we would do listening to, used to be a radio show on Sunday nights. I forgot the name of it. Vince Gelsna did it in New York. And it was Vince Gelsna did this show every Sunday night where he just explained rock and roll to you. Yeah. And people would record it and tape it. And I was just like, wow, this is like Vince Gelsna's show on K-Rock.
Yeah, we've lost the art of that. Even like MTV back in our era, like, you know, they would go through kind of and do that. We've just lost that now, right? It's all about, you know, kind of advertising these days. But, you know, those experiences.
Idiot's Delight was the name of the show. Idiot's Delight was the name.
Idiot's Delight. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Finn Scelsa's, Scelsa's Idiot Delight. A really interesting show.
And so what I take from what you just talked about there, Jason, is, I don't know if you've seen Sal Khan's talk, the 2 Sigma talk that he did at TED, which basically talks about if you give anyone a tutor, they can improve their test scores by 2 standard deviations, right? It's a great TED talk. It's from this year. And he talks about the impact of like ChatGPT and LLMs for that. And so, you know, think about the amount of knowledge these things have, the cost, which is definitely pretty minimal, and making that available to everyone on the planet. Like, that's a huge lift for our entire society, right? A lot of challenges we see come from lack of education. And so we're on the front end of this curve, but I love that use case. I'm going to try it out.
Yeah, it's just a great thing when you're in the car. I think also it could play games with you. Remember, Alexa had some games it could play.
Yeah, of course.
So I think it's going to play some.
You can make up the games too. You can make up the games,
right? We could just say, "Hey, we want to play rock and roll trivia. Can you give us some rock and roll trivia?" I bet you we could do a pretty good job at that. So I just think it's like
lyrics. Yeah. Or something.
Well, this concept of a personal tutor, I think, is going to be very powerful. In fact, I was thinking about doing, like 20 years ago, a little bit of fiction writing. I never got around to it, but my first story that I wrote, it wasn't like a Black Mirror story, but it was a little Black Mirror-esque, that somebody had put implants of headphones in their ears, and that they had a personal assistant that would talk to them constantly, and it would read to them stock prices, and it was about some
like internet. Your version of the pin.
Well, oh yeah, exactly. But it was an implant actually, and it was a .com person. Yeah. And I had written about the .com era, but like 30 years later. Yeah. And they went insane because the stock market went 24/7, which was a prediction I had that the stock market would go 24/7. And he became obsessed with the stock price and trying to change it and manipulate it. Yeah. And the stock price was being read to him every 30 seconds. Yeah. And then he would be doing things in between. He went mad. Yeah. Yeah. Because I just had interviewed somebody as a journalist about, this flow of information. And then somebody was pitching a 24-hour stock market in the .com era. It never happened. And people figured out this is a really bad idea.
Well, with Neuralink, we're not too far away.
Well, and that's the interesting part. 23 years later, when I wrote that little short story, I wish I could find my laptop with it. Now I think this AI and the TV, and then the movie Her kind of gives you a path to that. You got to be very careful with this because you could just be in constant dopamine hit mode, constant learning mode. And I have a little bit of that now. I don't know if you have this addiction to podcasts, but I have probably 100 podcasts I listen to, and I go to sleep listening to them. And some nights I stay up for 2 hours listening to podcasts. It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
We should have Sal Khan back on the pod. Yeah.
Yeah. For that. And, definitely watch the talk, Jake Hill, the 2 Sigma.
Yeah, I'm going to watch it.
TED Talk.
I remember when that went, it's another example of like, there's just too many things. I'm going to dump that into, actually, how long is the talk? I'll probably listen to it.
What if we should go back to Bard and ask for the summary?
Yeah. Well, interestingly, the way I do this, literally this morning, I was talking with my producers and I was asking producer Nick, how do we do this? The way we do it right now is we take a YouTube video. There are kind of websites out there that let you take a YouTube video and save it as an MP3 file. They're kind of like Russian websites or whatever. You can, and there's one called ssyoutube.com. So if you're on a YouTube video, if you put an SS in front of the word YouTube, so you just go into your URL in your browser, it'll take you to a website. I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, looks like it got discontinued in the United States. Anyway, what this video saved from the net did was it would let you save an MP3 file. This is like a cat and mouse game. And then you can take that MP3 file, you can upload it to Descript or another service. It makes a transcript. They take the transcript, you upload it to Claude and make a summary. So what we're showing here from YouTube is maybe you don't have to do that 2 or 3 step process. But Google's Bard is not a high functioning LLM yet. Is that what we've come to? That Claude, Falcon, and ChatGPT and Grok are better?
Oh man, I think ChatGPT is in a league of its own.
Okay.
Still, And I think Palm is improving all the time. I'd love, hopefully maybe some folks get back in touch with us and explain why we saw such wild hallucinations. Mm-hmm. And if there's a way for us to understand.
Yeah, let's get the Bard people back on. Producers. Yeah. We had somebody from Bard on back in the day. So let's do that again. Yeah, so here is the TED Talk. You just summarized it. Let's take a look. Yeah, we had Jack came on from the Bard team. Is this actually good here?
Yeah, I'm just kind of reading it because I pulled it up. But in general, this seems pretty accurate to what he says. Basically, It's like AI has the potential to provide personalized instruction to students at a global scale, what we're talking about.
Yep.
And it's been unattainable because of cost and scalability issues. Mm-hmm. And then he talks about like the impact of tutoring. This is, it's a good high level summary. I don't think it made up anything here. Yeah.
So, congratulations, Bard B+. On this one, making Pong, that's an A+.
Okay. All right. Making Pong's an A+. That's
what's the name of this?
That one is called, the service is called tlDraw. I'm just going to pull it back up for
tlDraw. tlDraw.
Yeah. So tlDraw.com. And that's it. Now, it's something
Who makes related. It? Is it a startup or something?
Yeah.
Wow. Just incredible. Starting a business used to be such a painful process. You needed to get a lawyer. There were tons of fees. It was a mess, but not anymore. Just check out Northwest Registered Agent. They're going to help you form your company fast. Remember, speed matters. And then they're going to get you the docs you need to open a business bank account instantly. Then they're going to provide you with mail scanning and a business address. And they're going to do all that, keeping your personal privacy intact. Northwest can form LLCs, corporations, and nonprofits. And here's why. Founders love Northwest. There's no hidden fees. There's no upselling. You can call them or cancel at any time. And Northwest has the best of both worlds solution. It's simple and self-serve, but they can be hands-on if you need help with their amazing registered agent service. Northwest provides everything you need to start and maintain your business. And they're giving Twist listeners a 60% discount. For just $39 plus state fees, they'll form your LLC, corporation, or nonprofit. So visit northwestregisteredagent.com/twist today. northwestregisteredagent.com/twist.
I want to show this gentleman, Jordan Singer. He did a similar one. And so all of these are powered by the GPT-V API. So, the vision that we've played around with a little bit. And I think you've even tried it. You gave some, I think you were doing some food things right, J-Cal? And so this person created basically an iPhone app, which you can go and download if you go to his tweet. He has a GitHub link to it. And I'm just going to play the video. And in the video, what he does is, and I'll just explain it for those listening. He's basically drawing like a number keyboard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then putting plus, minus, equals. And then he gives it a name here. And what you're going to see is he's going to say create. And this is on the phone itself. And watch this. No. And so this is like app creation. And look, I built a business making apps.
I remember. Yeah.
And it'll be done here in a second. And so it's spinning and there you go. And he's got a working calculator from a sketch.
So he literally drew a calculator, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. To 0, plus, minus, etc., and then basically told it to compile it, and it did it.
Yes. And a working iPhone app.
Well, this looks like a browser app to me, but I guess maybe.
No, it's not. No, because if you go, he gives you, this is like a Swift app. It's not a.
So so this is a Swift app, building Swift apps? What is he in? Yes. Is he in an IDE or something? What's this?
No. His app is the app that builds apps. It's very meta.
Oh my God. So it's an app. You draw on it, and it makes an app inside of the app.
Correct.
That is bonkers. Well, this is what I love because, for the past couple of years, we've been doing this Founder University concept. And one of the things we did is we had Bubble and some other no-code platforms. And we have Zapier and Notion, Coda, a bunch of these ways, Typeform, SurveyMonkey, etc. You can kind of stitch together a Frankenstein. Now, it's a little bit of a derogatory term, but you can stitch together a no-code prototype. And what's happened is we've gone from no-code prototypes then to actually production products with Webflow or Bubble. And now we're going to actually native apps with AI. What this does is it gives a group of non-developer, but product manager, designer types, the ability to actually make a prototype and throw it out there and let somebody play with it, right? And we saw this, like you could build Angry Birds now. And if you play a video of Angry Birds to an LLM, could it make the code, you think?
Well, and you know what this ushers in? I think it could. Like Pong, this is just, it's happening really quickly. And, remember we were giving predictions, like it's happening even faster than I would have thought. I think we're going to enter an era where we're going to have a lot of apps instead of that you'll just create on the fly for what you need. And I think people are going to start doing that.
Give an example.
Well, I'm going to do another demo in a second, so I'm going to lead up to this. But in the case of you want to do like a meme editor, right? And so you'll kind of just be like, instead of searching in the App Store for the best one, you'll be like, hey, can you quickly give me an app where I can pull up memes and then, edit them and then post them? And so instead of looking through the 50 or 100 meme editors there are, you'll just get one created for you on the fly for the thing that you're trying to do.
Interesting. Yeah. So if you and I were going to go skiing, we use something called Slopes, really cool app, where we track our runs. You could say, make me a slopes app. Now that has GPS. That's a little more sophisticated, but we could actually say, hey, we want an app to just track ourselves while we're mountain biking around Lake Tahoe. Make me an app, share it with my friend, and it'll be our own personal,
just between us,
summer app or summer activity app. Yeah.
We're going to be skiing and make us like a communicator for each other or something, just like a walkie-talkie. Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah.
Well, think about this. Hey, we've got a group of 10 besties.
Yeah.
Make us an app that shares our location and what stores we're going to and just creates a running list and then deletes it after 10 days so people can see what stores we were going to. Whatever, or we're a bunch of parents, put us in a group and we can talk about our kids, but we want to track our kids and see where they're going and, they're going to have a play date this weekend.
It's going to be very bespoke. I think we're going to move to that era.
I love that. That's just kind of like how people use Google Sheets when you think of it. Like you pop up a spreadsheet, what do you use it for? People use spreadsheets for planning a party, their schedule, voting on trips. I mean, just use it for anything, budgeting, recipes. People will use, little Google Sheets for anything. And I think that's what's going to happen here. Yeah, you're going to talk to your AI, make some sort of app and just use it amongst friends and toss it in the garbage. Just like you might toss a Google Sheet in the garbage if you're just not using it anymore.
All right. So
I give that an A+, by the way. That was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
That was mind-blowing.
Yeah. Like an app with it. Now, I think one of the crazy things is Apple won't approve that because they don't but I think it's a really, really interesting era we're going to see.
I give both of those an A+. They're two different companies.
Yeah, they are. Well, one's not even a company. One's just someone who created it, like a developer.
So it's not even available. So I'm just going to give him a shout out.
No. They have a GitHub that you can go and use it and download it yourself. It's for developers.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Next one, which is also really interesting. This one gives you the UI. It doesn't implement it, but it gives you a really nice looking UI. So down here in the text box, what you can see here, there's an iPhone. And I said, design a restaurant reservation page with number of guests, date, and special request. And I'm going to hit that. And basically,
crazy.
Yeah.
We knew this was coming. We talked about this last year and it just starts writing the code for this app.
Yeah.
It's just bonkers. I mean, and then I guess what is the fidelity of the code? Have you looked at that?
Yeah. Totally usable. Totally usable.
Totally
usable. Yeah. Wow. And it's just loading up here, so I'm just doing it live. Okay, so you can see that. There it goes.
Installing, launching the app.
There you go.
Make a reservation.
There it is. Make a reservation. And think about, we used to use, I forgot the name of it, the app to just mock up.
You use Figma. You could use Envision.
Yeah,
you could use Balsamic.
Balsamic
was like the old school one. Yeah.
Look what's happened. Like you don't, and this is you can download this.
Yeah.
Right. And there it is. Right. I've just pulled up the code for those folks listening.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. As somebody who ran a dev shop and you built lots of apps for large social networks, dating apps, famously you did Tinder when you had your dev shop in Canada. What's the future here?
Well, I think it's superpowers. So I'm talking to a couple of people who are reimagining that business right now. They came and wanted to speak, and it's just about reimagined. Mm-hmm. What used to take months will take days. what used to take different sets of resources can be collapsed into these tools. And I think we're the same type of innovation we saw when the App Store came out. We're going to see like another kind of step function in innovation right now.
Okay. So the App Store
Yeah.
made the world into software buyers, whereas previously the average person bought, like one software package a year, maybe. Putting video games aside, people didn't buy apps all that. They would go to CompUSA back in the day and buy some software, off of a package. You might buy a browser, you might download something off the internet, freeware, shareware, but you got Microsoft Office and you were kind of done. And then you did cloud computing. You might buy 2 or 3 SaaS products. Maybe if you were a junkie, you had 10 SaaS products, but call it 5 for the average, executive maybe you bought. But then the App Store came out and people had collections of dozens of apps on their phone. Probably the average phone has 50 apps on it, I would think, over, if you've had it for some number of years. Easily.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now you think a step function, it could be 500, it could be 10 times the number of apps available, 100 times the number of apps available.
Well, I think what you're going to get is a combination of these two things that we just saw is like what you need in that moment created for you.
So mind-blowing.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, I think it's a challenge to like an open table. Now, obviously they have a back-end integration, which is quite important, but think about the experience about booking restaurants and like having people pick. And so you could quickly just create something, send it around, everyone picks a date. And then, that feature is really hard for, the company to build. People just put that together and maybe it connects to the open table backend and gets a restaurant booked. So it sends it out. Everyone picks their date. It finds the common date. Like those tip splitting things.
Sure,
doing that for more complicated use cases.
Coordinating. It's like Calendly or whatever, find us the date that works. Or you're the restaurant itself and you say, you know what? I want to have my own booking app. I want to give that I want to give that precedent over places that charge. So make me for, my favorite restaurant in Tahoe, beep. I don't want to get more people fighting for reservations there. But they can make their own app for beep, beep. And then they could say, hey, we want to have these 3 tables are the VIP tables. Yeah. Don't include them. These 3 tables are for tasting. And if you want them, you have to do the tasting menu. And then the rest are first come, first serve. And build me a database of all of my best customers.
And this is your product spec. What you just said, that's all all that would be required for the product specification.
Wow. It's just so mind-blowing because you think like there are some restaurants that probably create their own apps. Like Alina, we had the famous co-founder of it, chef and everything. They have a huge wait list. I think they were the restaurant that in season 2 of the Chef episode, I think it was 7 or 8, the one where he goes and works there and polishes silverware. It was based on that restaurant. They actually built their own software for buying because they had so many reservations. They built their own software platform. They wound up selling it to Square, I think. To book their restaurant, and I think actually even bid on reservations, but you had to buy them like sports tickets. Basically, was his big innovation. Was like when you buy tickets to the Warriors.
It's not Dorsia, is it? Is it Dorsia?
No, Dorsia is kind of inspired a little bit by that, but what Dorsia is doing, which if I was younger, I would be using it all the time, but I don't really go out to eat as much as I used to. They will let you bid on like really prime tables in prime markets, and you agree to 500. I've seen $500 a person in Dorsia.
Yeah, like a pre-committed spend.
Pre-committed spend, yeah. And so it's not an auction; it's just you're pre-committing your spend. And when you go to the restaurant, my understanding with Dorsia is it shows you in the app in real time as you order. You're like, oh, I'm going to get this 2 bottles of wine, this bottle of champagne, this bottle of wine. And that's $600. And you and I went on a date. It was $1,000 pre-commit. Now it's
and
like, you have 400 left.
And you don't even have to pay a bill at the end. You just walk out. So
and then whatever you have left, I don't know if you can just give that as a tip.
I think it ends up as that. Yeah.
No, I think the restaurant takes it. That's their
you don't get it back.
I know you don't get it back. What I'm saying is, like, if I spend 600 and had 400 left, could I put that 400 towards the staff?
I'm going to look into that. I've used it a few times. I haven't thought about that.
You have used it. See, I would be fine with it because I'm a big tipper anyway.
Yeah.
So if I really wanted to go to a restaurant, I was only in that city for that weekend. I kind of appreciate that it's available.
So when you get nice wine, it's a no-brainer because then you'll go past that anyways, right?
Yeah. See, I'm not a big drinker, so like I'll have a social glass of like an ounce of wine, but not really my jam. All right, got any more demos here? Let's get one more demo in.
We got a couple more, but I want to jump forward to one here.
Okay.
So Runway just launched this thing called Runway TV. And basically, it's an AI generated channel. So everything in here, I have a little guide. Mm-hmm. And basically, this entire service is AI generated.
Okay. So they've made a cable system with cable channels that are all AI generated. Okay.
Correct.
They just replaced the entire corpus of cable television.
Well, no live sports, but you can
sure.
anything else that's scripted. And they have like...
I'll give an example here. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go here. Gen 48, Film of the Week, Creative Partner Programs. I want to be careful here because I haven't pre-tested these, but anyway, here we go. Sci-fi. Just another cat.
Okay. Yeah. So you clicked on that from the channel guide.
Yeah.
We hit play on it. So it's like a channel guide. Now, it comes up with what looks like a 1970 TV show of like, looks like a detective or something in a 1970s car.
Yeah.
And so now it's just like full episodes of these things and it just made TV shows?
They're shorts, right?
Or this is just visuals, 2 minutes. Shorts.
Yeah. No, but they have a whole storyline. The audio's coming in. Maybe I got to reshare.
No, that's okay. Don't worry about it. We won't play it because we don't want to get dinged with anything. But so anyway, it just basically plays a short. So it's just random AI shorts that were created. That's nuts.
Yeah. But they all fit into a genre. That's the sci-fi genre, right? And so it's really nuts.
That's wild.
Super wild. And look, like we're in the early innings. Like, what does this mean for, and we obviously seen layoffs at ESPN and other places, but man, for content, and we just saw the writer's strike end. Yeah. This was pretty wild to have already this early on have like a whole network, like a cable network.
Yeah, and I'm doubtful that any of this is actually really that interesting or refined because it's not like doesn't have the human touch yet. Yeah, but give it time. Maybe some of these will actually be worth watching. Now, imagine
you take your
also
stories, Wattpad plus this, right? You take really great stories and combine it.
Human
with
written stories on Wattpad and then move them over here. Yeah, because actually, 50 Shades of Grey. My understanding was I met the woman who wrote that at a party years ago, and somebody told me that the 50 Shades of Grey was originally Twilight fan fiction, and she changed the names of it to make like new characters, but it was kind of, I guess, in this romance, they would add a lot more romance to fill in the blanks here, to something that didn't have as much romance in it, and so that's kind of interesting. I'm thinking about this, and I'm just wondering about like some IP licensing and some big IP brands. What would be very interesting to me is to take Mike Tyson and have Mike Tyson fight Floyd Mayweather. And this is, I think we talked about this back in the day, but imagine if you took all of the Floyd Mayweather fights in history, you took all of the Mike Tyson fights in history, and then you said, what was their peak? Okay, Mike Tyson versus this person was the peak, Floyd Mayweather versus this person was the peak. Okay, now give me those two fighters, put them in the ring.
All these debates.
And now the debates are over. Let's play Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson. I think Mike Tyson's going to got a 78% chance of absolutely just destroying him. But I don't know because Floyd's defensive strategy might have tuckered him out. And then
Floyd's a heavyweight, and heavyweights can't fight lightweights like that. So
okay, so then what you say is move Mike Tyson down same Mike Tyson strategy, move him down to middleweight, take Floyd, move him up to middleweight. Show me so just change their body types but keep their style. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That is incredible because now you could have people go across the thing. You could say, hey, let's actually have Michael Jordan play LeBron in a game of one-on-one and let's see what that's like. Yeah. Which I guess is what the NBA video games do to a lesser extent with machine learning. They try to approximate that. What is the NBA game that everybody plays, the video game, where you make your own teams and you play?
Oh, like 2K, NBA 2K.
Like 2K. 2K. Yeah. I wonder how much AI or machine learning 2K is doing when they play, teams. I understand you can play whatever, the Bulls versus...
and you can, and there's career modes, and you can play, the legendary Bulls versus legendary Lakers or whatever you want. Yeah.
Or NBA Live, I guess. Yeah. So
that's a big thing. Yeah. The ratings are provided by humans because there's a guy that everyone kind of kisses up to, I think it's Ronnie 2K. That's his name. And he's the guy that ultimately is in charge of the ratings. And so a lot of players go to him when your rating is off. So and they wait for the ratings to get updated and all that. So it's a whole kind of sub ecosystem.
Yeah. I'm going to give that a C+ right now.
Okay.
It's like an interesting proof of concept. I'll give it a C. I'm not even giving it a plus.
Okay.
Interesting proof of concept. It doesn't look real. It doesn't pass the uncanny valley. I think it's going to need a lot more work, but I think it shows some promise, and it's interesting.
It's got to get tied into story making. So I'm kind of in the same place as you, like C++. But look, kudos to them, and now you can see why they have such a huge valuation, because they could become like the next network. Okay, this next one I've actually been using quite a bit. So Stability AI, these are the guys behind a bunch of these really good models that we see for generative image like generation. But they have created a whole bunch of new tools. And so they've got tools here that can take an image and uncrop it for you.
I love this.
You can basically start a doodle. You can clean up an image. You can remove a background. So I'm not going to go through all these. You can upscale an image. This has been really useful.
And what's the URL for this?
It's just clipdrop.co.
Okay, and who's this by? This is by Stability?
Stability, yeah.
So this is like things that you would pay a Photoshop graphic designer to do for you. You'd give them a picture of yourself and say, I want this to, have me take the background of my house out, my backyard, and put me on a beach. Or just take the background out and, put a color behind it, replace the background.
So I'll do one here, I was, this is a classic guy here. Yes. And so, this
That's
guy.
That's the weird looking guy with a mug who's got like the grin.
Yeah.
And he's like a forced grin.
Go. And so I just did that. Yeah. Put him on
a stock image. I forgot what they call that guy. But he's got the white beard and like the bald head, wearing the blue shirt, and he's kind of doing work. There's a name for this meme, but the guy looks like he's constipated or something.
Yes. Well, he's always buying like the thing late. Like, I just bought, he's like
old dude laggard. He's like, I'm going to call him like white beard laggard. So now what you're doing here is, but were you also making memes move around on the internet this weekend?
Oh, that's a different one. I can show you that too, if you want to see that.
Okay. I thought that was the most interesting demo. So this one I'm going to give B+ to. This collection is incredible. Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm using it all the time for whether I'm creating decks or something like that, and there's a lot of tools in here. So I recommend everyone to go through it, like removing backgrounds, reimagining pictures, uncropping something. Upscaling this is a real pain in the butt. Like upscaling pictures has always been.
By the way, the name of that guy, Hide the Pain Harold. Just for people who are wondering. Hide the Pain Harold. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And so that was Stability. So this is a model from Stability, but they haven't made it available on their site yet. And so I'm running this on Replicate. So Replicate is a place where you can take models and they'll run them for you. And basically, they've got farms of GPUs available. So in this case, instead of the memes, because I did animate some memes, but something more important is I took this very famous picture.
Raising of the flag
at Iwo Jima.
In Iwo Jima, yeah.
Yeah. And basically, you run it. And
Did you tell it what to do? Did you tell it to raise the flag?
No. That's the beauty. You tell it nothing, and so you give it nothing. Give it an image. It has a few things that you can modify here, and basically these are how long you want it to be,
how many frames per second,
motion bucket. These are some we're running it live on the GPUs ourselves, right? And
Crazy.
Basically, you click run. And this may not go super fast because it depends on if we have access to it. Yeah, there it goes. So it started. And so this is actually what happens when AI runs in the background. So you can see this doing the work on the GPUs processor here directly. Yeah.
What is this costing you to do? Is it costing you 10 cents to do this, or 1 cent?
We can go look at that. Yeah. So once this is done, or maybe I'll just open this maybe in a new tab or something, so you can kind of see. I don't know if it's doing them. Yeah, so it just goes like second by second. So they take about 60 seconds. Right. And the pricing for that model, which is NVIDIA N40 large, is, basically Yeah.
What is that?
Like $2 an hour. So it's like, I don't know, 1/100th of, a cent or something.
$2 an hour. Yeah. Yeah. So that's nothing. It's like 3 cents a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what it takes. And, this thing will run here. I don't know if this one will come out as good as the one I just shared, because sometimes you have to tweak some of the settings.
Got it.
And
it's amazing. The idea that you could take a meme.
Go. So we just did that live.
That's
and
bonkers.
This one, the flag is waving a bit different than the one I had posted.
Yeah. Crazy. Absolutely
Bonkers.
Nuts. Yeah. I mean, and this is, again, we just hit year 1. So if we just consider this year 1, this is nuts. And what we're seeing here is entire industries. To recap for the episode, we started with what a researcher does for $40 an hour. And we showed that can be done at a 90%, 80 to 90% of the work is already being done by AI. Then we showed making a basic video game or a calculator for a developer. And again, I think 80, 90% of the work's done. You probably have to massage the last 20%. Then we showed video and images. And in the case of the static images, we saw maybe 70% of what an image processing person who gets paid $20, $30 offshore could do, right? Cleaning a background or whatever. And maybe $40 or $50 here in the US. So, and then we did video with that network show. And that would be, I don't know. That's a lot of creatives doing a lot of different things, but it's not ready for prime time. So it's probably doing 10% of what needs to be 20%.
Yeah.
We could check back
10%
in a year from now.
10% of millions of dollars.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the question is, when can it do a Pixar movie? So I'm just going to put that out there. When can it make something? And let's even go with a short. When can it make the short at the beginning of a Pixar movie? You know how they have the shorts at the beginning of the Pixar movie?
Summer 2024, I'll put it out there. We'll see a full movie, Pixar quality, created by AI.
Wait. You're saying in 6 months? You're saying August 1st, 2024. I'm taking the over.
It might not be in the theaters because of the
but you're saying
the system.
Indistinguishable from the movie Up or Ratatouille. Are we talking about just the fidelity of the video or the storytelling, the animation, the voiceover, all that? Everything. Okay, so if we're going complete, hold on. I'm going to let you reset the bet here.
Yep.
I'm going to reset the bet here because it's going to be a real bet.
Yeah.
I want you to set it properly. Indistinguishable from Ratatouille, my favorite film. I see Ratatouille and I see this new one and I cannot tell the difference. I watch 5 minutes of it, or we show somebody 5 minutes of Ratatouille versus 5 minutes of this, the best 5 minutes. And the consumer, it passes the uncanny valley. They believe this is the next Pixar film. They believe it's the next Pixar film.
Yes.
Will be the bet. I think that's 3 years from now. Because you got to do storytelling too. And I got to do voiceover and the
Wattpad. Voices can be copied, as we know, right? We've seen that through the AI tools. And it's going to go on like YouTube because I'm
going to say 2026. I'm going to go 2026.
Wow. Oh my God, Jake.
January 1st, 2026, I would set the line at. So I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over. It's easy win for me.
Yeah.
And if you're the person making it, go ahead and prove it to us. Make us a film. Make us Ratatouille Part 2.
You said the short that goes, before those.
Make a Ratatouille short. So it's son of Ratatouille, daughter of Ratatouille. Ratatouille makes Shake Shack, Ratatouille does a cooking show, whatever your jam is. The AI has to come up with the story, the images, the voiceover, the whole package. 10 minutes short of Ratatouille. And it's better, or it's indistinguishable from any other short that was done by Pixar at this beginning of something. Okay, there we go. We got it.
We got it.
You say, okay. And if you do that and you make it, you can come on the show. Did we give our letter grades to everything, producers?
We didn't give what did we give a letter to the clip? We didn't give them a letter grade.
For the meme one?
Not
the meme one, I'm giving B+.
B+, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because listen, is it perfect yet? No, it looks like it's AI generated, but I'll give it a B+ because I think next year it'll look like that was actually a video clip taken from
that scene. Yeah.
From that scene. Like they just discovered the video. Like it would, I think next year at this time, you do the same exercise. That would look like, it's the lost footage. And you just say that's the lost footage.
That's what happens with one of the memes I posted, JCal. And someone said, well, this was already a video. And I'm like, yeah, but that's the point. I had animated some memes, and that was a point that it does such a good job that, people couldn't figure, and this one had a little bit of wonkiness in it, but people can't figure out that that's happened. Let me see if I can pull this up here. This is one of the I think this is the most famous meme of 2020. This,
the two women screaming, and it's a cat ignoring them. It's like some reality show folks. Yeah. And they're actually now screaming. People say, well, that's the actual video. And it's not.
Yeah, it's not. It was
you can see from the woman's finger is like her hand is super weird.
And her face here is a a little bit weird, but
I almost believe it. That'll be fixed.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
Beta. This thing is in beta still.
Amazing. Yeah. Okay. So I give it B+. I give it the meme generated B+. What'd you give it?
I give it, just needs to go to production. So B+, but it's, with the caveat that we know it's still in beta.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
That guy's called Hide the Pain Harold.
Hide the Pain Harold. So,
he just leans forward and like spills his drink or something on his keyboard. It's like very weird.
Like he feels the pain because of, what's happened. So
yes, his life is horrible. He's just a slave to his...
He's lost all his money buying the wrong crypto.
He literally bought the wrong crypto. And on his Windows 98 laptop, from HP, but he's happy, but he's sad because his retirement savings gone, and now he's going to have to go work at TGI Fridays and put flair on his things at the age of 70.
Maybe be a welcomer.
American tragedy.
At Walmart. Welcomer at Walmart.
I mean, literally, isn't it amazing? You were deep in the crypto game, and now you're deep in the AI game. And more happens in a week in AI than happened in 10 years of crypto.
Yeah,
I think it's safe to say. A month, maybe.
My retrospective of it is as follows. So one, I'm a still big believer in the underlying technology. That's why we spent time, building there and being in the space. But when you can allow people to financialize things, which inherently crypto was, because you could start trading them right away without there being value, that was the problem, right? And so it was a combination of there was really great ideas, and there still are great ideas being built every single day. But when you can financialize it, meaning people can trade on it before it's gotten traction. So imagine all these things that we've been demoing, you could go and buy it right away. There was a token associated with it.
Yeah.
That would be chaos in AI. The good news is AI and crypto are not intersected in that way. So you can't go off one of these demos and buy it.
I like the idea of a more fluid funding environment for projects. But there has to be some constraint. And so it would be very easy to just say, I fell in love with crypto for that reason. And when I saw the abuse, I fell out of love. There's a very simple constraint here. Any adult in the United States can spend $1,000 as an investment in a project 10 times a year. So there's an exception. Every American can blow $10,000 a year, $1,000 at a time per deal. We just call it the Angel Investment Exception
Act.
Angel Exception Act. And by the way, if you want to do it, and you want to go above that, and you want to go to 100,000 a year and 10 bets of 10K, you have to take a course and you have to get a certification like a driver's license, gun license, barber's license, whatever, somewhere in that range of you have to do 5 hours of coursework and answer a 50-question test. Just so you know what diversity is, and you know that 90% of startups return $0, yada, yada, yada. That would be actually great for society because you'd have people be able to transition from lower class to middle class to upper class. It would give upward mobility because you have equity upside, and you'd have some protection because you could only invest so much. You can't take your life savings and just blow it like you can on sports betting.
Yep.
That would be a fair, I think, way to do this. Now, there's some people, Ology might believe that you could just do whatever you want.
And you can't
understand that too.
You can't trade the thing. You can buy into it, but in the similar way, if you invest in a startup, you can't go and secondary markets do get created, but they get created much later. People don't start going and trading on the angel investment you just did, right? The investors really don't allow for it.
I would be okay with trading it if it still had those rules. So you could trade it to another party, but they can only do 10 deals per year. So it's throttled.
Got it.
In other words, I bought into, the Pong app for $1,000. I could sell it anytime I want, but if I sell it, that's one of my 10 transactions for the year. So I get 10 transactions per year, or I could sell up to 10, I could buy up to 10, something like that, where you have some throttling of the velocity of this. Because like you said, when it's unlimited velocity, it just becomes chaos.
Well, speculation and chaos, which is unfortunately what took over.
Human nature. Well, I mean, and I respect people who are libertarians and say, it's my money, I should be able to take any risk I want with it. I actually respect that. And we do have that in the United States when it comes to gambling. Now, other places where there's gambling, like my understanding in Korea, when I played poker at Walker Hill Casino in Seoul, there was all non-Koreans. And I was like, why are there no Koreans here? And they said, Koreans aren't allowed to gamble in Seoul. They weren't allowed to gamble there.
Yeah.
It was a ban. And Koreans, then what was one of the most popular places for crypto? Korea. Because humans want to gamble. And they actually, remember they tried to ban it in Korea, and then they relented because people wanted it so badly. And so it's human nature to want to gamble. We just have to have some thoughtfulness around it. Yeah. All right. This has been another amazing episode. Follow @Sandeep on Twitter X, x.com/Sandeep, x.com/Jason, the site formerly known as Twitter. See you all next time. Bye-bye.